So I wanted to talk today about a few updates. We've had a lot of stories come out recently, and we have some exciting updates about the different languages that are available on our website. So the first screen I'm sharing is our StrongerMemory.org homepage. And we launched this new website a couple of months ago. So curious if, we've been noticing our feedback, but curious if you all have any feedback. The goal was that it's a bit easier to handle, but there are certainly some things that take a little bit of scrolling. But if you're on the home page, you can kind of scroll through the story of Stronger Memory. There's different links, and then these program statistics are here with about how many older adults we think are participating, our partners, and our states. We are working to grow those. But if we click this Get Started button, this takes you to where you can get the workbook. So Get Started, exercise your brain, get the workbook. And previously, we've had the workbook available for download in English and Spanish, and you could purchase it when we got translations over the summer from Fairfax County. You were able to purchase a copy in Chinese Simplified, Chinese Traditional, Amharic, Farsi, and Korean. But now you can also download it in these additional languages. And if you click on the top one is download, it actually has the download page translated in the language of whatever language the person is going to be using it in. So you can choose, you choose country and then state, how'd you hear about Stronger Memory, and all of that, and then click submit. So
Jessica, this is all from the the goodwinliving.org app, the website.
Yes. If you go to, yes, you can get there by Goodwin Living, but we actually now have, if you just go to StrongerMemory.org,
okay,
that takes you right to the Stronger Memory page.
Okay, thank you. I didn't hear that first part.
So that's just
Thank
a little bit easier. Yes. To go to StrongerMemory.org and then
download.
Yep. Get the workbook, and we have it in all of the different languages.
And one more coming, one more to be added.
Yes.
When we can update. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we also have it in Japanese. And so that will be added to the website soon. We just have to get the download form portion translated. I'll show you just by typing in test here what where's the United States? I don't know. Here we go. United States. Okay. Virginia. All right. And then we click submit. And then just like when you download the English workbook, let's see. Go through, it's loading. Just like when you download the English workbook, I don't know what happened. It just refreshed on me. But it will bring you to that page. We'll try again, but it'll bring you to that page where then you can click to open up the workbook in a PDF in that language. So it works the same as the English download, and then you can still click the order a printed copy. And if you click on any of the order a printed copy, you'll see all of the different languages here as well, and we'll have Japanese added to this list soon, now that we have that. Are there any other, I'm just curious, you know, it does, so Fairfax County was really generous and they did the Spanish, they did an updated Spanish translation, and they paid for the Amharic, Chinese, Simplified Chinese, Traditional Farsi, and Korean. And then we at Goodwin Living had been receiving several requests for Japanese, so we translated it into Japanese and paid that cost. So I can't guarantee with what speed we'll be adding additional languages, but I'm curious, for those of you on the call, what additional languages would be helpful for you?
The ones that you mentioned cover my population in my neighborhood, so I can't think of any. I don't know if there are very many Filipino people who Tagalog or something like that, but Chinese and Korean seems to be what I get aside from Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, and certainly French or Haitian might
Right.
be a good
Yep.
Yeah, I
addition.
think that's probably the
I would say Russian. We have several members from
Oh, yeah,
either
right.
Russia or Ukraine.
okay. Yes, that's
Great.
great.
What countries are you in? I saw 3 countries, but it didn't say what they were.
We're
Yes,
actually more. Trinidad and Tobago, and then
Yep.
also Jamaica and some of the other Caribbean islands, and gosh,
Canada.
Canada, of course,
Oh,
right?
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good. Poor Jamaica.
Hmm. I know, poor Jamaica and the nearby islands. Really good. Mhm.
And we're growing all the time. I think we're in 46 states now, actually. So
Yep.
that's exciting.
Yep.
We're
And
trying to
Annie
get to all
Cox.
50.
Sorry, Annie Cox, a shout out to Annie because she gave a copy to a gentleman who took it back to China. So,
Yes,
Oh,
there
very
too.
cool.
So thank you.
yeah. And I think we did see a couple of downloads from that. So that was
Oh.
that was exciting. Yeah.
Yes, thank
Hey, I
you.
wanted to add a language to that. I was just
Yeah.
having to look up to see what language they spoke. We have a lot of Polynesians, so like from Tonga. So Tongan is their
Yeah.
language.
Okay.
That-
Great.
You guys are going to say we are crossing continents. We've got all continents and countries. The way
Yes.
you're going.
That's the goal
Mhm.
around the world. And one thing we hope to do, because right now I know we've translated the workbook now, we haven't translated any of the stronger memory lessons or lesson plans. And that's a future goal, but I want to kind of work towards getting someone, it might look like getting a grant or something like that, because I wouldn't want to offer the facilitator guide in different languages if we can't also provide that training in that language. So we are looking at opportunities for that, and you know, I'm kind of looking to see, is there grant funding or anything that would help us with that goal. But that's kind of the next step, would be translating some of those new lesson plans into the different languages as well.
I would look at the Dana Foundation. Sometimes they help you get grants, or sometimes they have
Yeah.
them. It's a brain, organization here in New
Yes,
York.
we've heard of them.
Mhm.
Okay,
Excellent idea. Mhm.
that's a great idea. Yes. Thanks, Susan. And then I also wanted to share, we've had a lot of blog posts and press releases go out in the last couple of months. So we can share links to these in the meeting notes, but I wanted to just share a few. Moving with Strength, Living with Purpose, we partnered with Enhance Fitness, which is a evidence-based fall prevention program that many senior centers use across the country to come up with a joint Stronger Memory and fall prevention packet. This was shared with all of their facilitators of Enhanced Fitness, and we're looking at how we can kind of continue to maybe get some of the Enhanced Fitness locations. If they want to join Stronger Memory, they can. We also want to share the fall prevention packet with all of you facilitators. So we will get that shared with you all. It just had some additional math pages, and then we had some specific reading activities and writing prompts that were around exercise, mobility, and fall prevention. So wanted to highlight that. That was released in October. And then this one was a little older than that, but on September 20th, 21st, which was World Alzheimer's Day, we highlighted the work that we've done with the CMP grant in Virginia, now that that work has ended. And we'll be putting out a white paper on that too. But we had some great statistics here. This allowed us to share Stronger Memory with skilled nursing communities across the state of Virginia. We reached, over the span of 3 years, 91 nursing facilities, 862 residents, and nursing home staff reported that 76% of participants maintained or improved their cognitive functioning, with more than half of those facilities committing to continue Stronger Memory after their initial 12-week session. And then we got some really wonderful stories and photos as part of this as well. And so this is just a really great blog article highlighting some of our partners in Virginia. We hope to be able to do a CMP grant maybe in another state in the future. And this was a really fun blog article to write. So one of the reasons we often ask, or we love it when you all, without us even asking, share stories and photos. We're hoping to highlight more of them in this way, which is exciting.
You know what else I wanted to mention, Jessica, is
Yes.
at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City, there is a Martha Stewart Center, not Martha Stewart, but her mother.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
involved with seniors and fall prevention and other things like that. And I also believe that there is some kind of provision, and maybe Teresa knows this better, in Medicare for like a 4 or 6 week fall prevention program that seniors are eligible for. I don't exactly know how it works, but I know that something like that exists. So,
Okay.
am I right, Teresa?
Yes, I do believe, and actually, Sound Generations out in Washington, in Seattle, who reached out to us about this fall prevention, adding Stronger Memory in. I know Sound Generations received like 90% of the contracting, much of it through CMS, some of it through medical assistance from individual states, but to push out the evidence-based fall prevention program. And so we were thrilled that they said, hey, let's combine a little brain health activity with fall prevention at the same time. So it was a nice collaboration. But yes, there is something, and I know, of course, through AARP too, there's a lot of fall prevention.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know Diane, as a physical therapist, may know about that.
Yes, and also in the Fairfax area, ElderLink, which is the partnership between Inova Health System and the Area Agency on Aging, they have several classes: a matter of balance, bingo size, living with, certain conditions. That's another source. And also Marymount University, they had a program, Lifting Claire, I think it was called. And it was a playwright about a person who fell and how her reasoning and her decisions put her to a point where, she didn't expect to be. It was a very good thing. They had a panel of people, including a PT, those who are doing adaptations to homes to make them clear, but also it pointed out the decisions that people make about rugs and grab bars and things like that make a difference.
Sure do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that's amazing. And we want to do more collaborations like that where we partner with others and either, make a fun Stronger Memory themed packet or just look at how we can really promote health. So that's been exciting. And we'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of that fall prevention packet and the link to the stories we have here from the CMP grant. The other thing we have posted, I know last month you all, if you were here or if you had a chance to watch the recording, got to speak with the researchers from George Mason University. We also put out a press release on that with information from the 3 articles and some of that kind of summary info and a quote from Dr. Kathy Tompkins and Dr. Emily Ahara. So that's really exciting. With that research, we're definitely seeing an uptick in interest from other publications. We were featured in an article with McKnight Senior Living. And we've got some great pictures there. That's Michelle at a National Senior Citizens Day event in Glen Arden, Maryland. Here, let me hide my meeting controls. There we go. So we were featured in McKnight Senior Living, and they really talked about the research of the program. Now that we have 3 published studies from George Mason University, we are really able to talk about this as an evidence, it's not a certified evidence-based program from the ACL. So in terms of funding, sometimes there are specific definitions around that evidence base, but in a general sense, we do have a lot of evidence now backing up Stronger Memory specifically. I love what Kimberly, the reporter, wrote. She said, and he has the receipts to back up that ROI, and talked about the results from that George Mason study. So we'll make sure you have the link to this as well, so that you can see what the article says, if there are things to pull out that are helpful for your participants. We can definitely we want to provide you with all of that. And then the key is the core of this program. It's these 3 exercises, and then what the most recent research article showed is that this weekly group having some sort of peer-to-peer support, having that health promotion group is even more beneficial. So people were gaining brain health benefits just from doing the exercises on their own. And we know that when they come together in facilitated groups like the ones all of you are leading, it just expands that benefit. So this was just published, and we'll be sharing a lot of information around this as well, and looking at some ways we can pitch and share more stories around stronger memory. But those are kind of the big updates. The languages is the most exciting. And then we kind of have all of these articles and resources for you all that we'll share to just help boost your programs. And we want to capture your stories and share them as well. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. If I can figure out how to do that, because I have two screens open. And here we go. And then I would love to take it to any discussion or questions and answer.
So Jessica, in those 91 facilities,
Yeah.
were they nursing homes, assisted living? What kind of facilities were they?
Yeah, those 91, they were all skilled nursing homes.
Skilled nursing.
Yeah.
So,
They were all skilled nursing because that's what the grant funded. So it was really interesting. You know, they kind of ran Stronger Memory differently than those of you who are running groups at a senior center or a village network. And so one of the things that we're working on as a team is kind of quick guides and best practice sheets for each of those different settings. Annie, yes, I see your hand raised.
So I may have missed this, but a while back we talked about having additional, I don't know what you call them, like lesson manual or additional discussion topic themes. You know how you have one on nutrition or goal
Yeah.
setting, or what you guys have been doing so much. So I'm not saying it needs to be done, but is that still on the radar to do that? Or are they done and I just am not aware of where to look for those?
No, absolutely. Those are still on the radar. We'll have a draft out. I just need a draft in that it might not be the final one uploaded to our facilitator page on the website, but we will definitely have a final draft of those to share with all of you who are current facilitators before the end of this calendar year. And what we've done is really shared, we've made 16 kind of core lessons, and those go through some of the topics from the current Stronger Memory Facilitators Guide. But for example, motivation and goal setting, instead of spreading that out into 3 lessons, we made it into one meatier lesson. And then we go through the 6 pillars of brain health and one lesson on each of the 6 pillars of brain health. Along with each lesson, there's going to be a facilitator's version that has some extra ideas. So you could take the articles that come with the lesson and really turn it into two groups if you wanted, or use some additional creative engagement based on what works best for you and your setting. And then we're launching internally for these groups that we know. We have a group that's been going strong since 2020, and I know many of you have groups that have been going on for a long time. So we're launching kind of after you've gone through those core lessons where really the Stronger Memory team, we've become experts on these 16 lessons, and they're designed so that you can pick and choose which of the 6 pillars to really dig into. So you could go, anywhere between 10 to 16 lessons in that main facilitator guide. But then for groups that want to continue on after, how do we do that in a way that's sustainable for everyone? So that looks like what we're calling stronger memory explorations, where we don't have to be an expert on the topic, but brings together an article to share or a short video, and then goes into that, some discussion and things around that. And so one of the things we want to get to eventually is sharing some of the articles and topics of those stronger memory explorations, so that there's one or two a month that we'll share, and then also sharing that template so you can kind of make your own, but really having a simplified structure for what those lessons can look like, so that it really drives curiosity and discussion, but that facilitators don't feel like they have to write a whole lesson plan for each week if they're meeting regularly.
And I'll just add for the stronger memory explorations, part of that is there will be discussion questions included, because to me, putting these together every week, it's fun, it's challenging, I learn a lot. But then rather than just being lecture based and having people ooh and ah, really having some great discussion questions. We've also been continuing now with stronger memory explorations. So again, we don't have to become the expert on whatever the topic is, but we're doing 2 minutes of math in the beginning, because we do virtual groups. And then believe me, that's a challenge to do the math virtually. We have a lot of people on. But having that, we found that vertical math, people enjoy vertical math rather than horizontal. So seeing the 4 on top of the 3 equals 7 versus the 4 plus the 3 horizontally. People gave us feedback that they prefer that vertical setup. I personally do too. I think it's easier in my head to add that way. And then engaging them, finding something that may, again, because we do virtual groups, having them write maybe only for 2 to 3 minutes at a time. If you're coming together more in person, there's more time, and it's a more collegial experience that you could, spend the 10 minutes writing. But virtually, it's just crickets for too long, we find. So we're coming up with questions that people could answer within, say, a 2-minute writing period. And then, of course, it's always optional to share, but building more of the stronger memory exercises. And then even taking very large font, I'm talking size 40 font on the screen, a small paragraph, maybe 2 sentences or 3 at a time, for people to volunteer again to read virtually, but not much, because again, if you don't get good volunteers virtually, there's a little too much downtime for people. But it's been working out. We've been transitioning from more of a lecture-based program to much more engaging. And I think for me, the hardest challenge is coming up with not just generic discussion questions, because you can't just keep asking people, oh, what do you think about that? And isn't that neat? And, so really digging deep, and I think we'll be excited to share some of those with you, not necessarily that you would use our topics, but maybe just seeing what we've done to develop the questions. And I won't lie, I use ChatGPT very often, and give it an awful lot of prompts to be able to get it to the point where it's asking what I consider to be good, engaging questions. So we will be delighted to share that with you all. And we would absolutely love it if you would share with us, because I know some of you have, and it's always fun. Susan Lauer, I'm looking at you in particular, sending us phenomenal ideas all the time. and Angela Beckman challenging us with great questions that then make us think through something to come up with other topics. Rhonda Baird as well, fantastic ideas on topics like gratitude and optimism and things like that. So thank you to everyone for sharing. I think that's what makes this group so unique, is the willingness to share. We're all on the same mission, which is to spread great practices for brain health.
Absolutely.
Okay, I've got another question for you all.
Awesome.
The way I do stronger memory, I'd be curious to see effectually. So when I do we get together once a week for 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. In that time, I give kind of that little, in the facilitator guide, the little lesson. And then I just have a conversation. We just talk for the rest of the time. And I really emphasize this is brain health. This is that social interaction aspect of it. But we're not doing the math together. We're not doing the writing together. I'm encouraging and assuming that they're doing it on their own. When you guys are holding classes, then are you meeting every single day so that they get that daily practice? Or are you just, when you meet, do you do all of that in 30 minutes, or is it an hour class? What are some of the different ways that this looks?
Annie, this is Angela Beckman, and that is the same way that I've been doing the groups with the people in independent living. We meet once a week, and when they come in, I check in with them. How are they doing with the exercises on their own? Who's having issues? Some are looking for an alternative to the writing, will need a prompt, and that takes probably the first 10 or 15 minutes. And then for the remaining half hour, I've probably asked one of the group members to have chosen a question of their own or from the book. And that's our starter for a conversation. And everybody deals with that question, and we just see where it goes. And it goes so often to memories and prompting memories. One person shares, which prompts another person. And that has worked extremely well. We did that all through the fall.
At my meeting today, basically the same format that you described. The topic of conversation was veterans and Veterans Day, and how the people who had veterans in their families, how they were greeted or how they assimilated back into the civilian world after their duty. So you got some memories about that, in particular about the Vietnam era, how it was a little different than World War II.
Yeah, that's a great timely topic. I know some of our Thursday groups, Teresa and Michelle, have done those types of topics as well.
A group in Ohio shared with Michelle and I yesterday. It is in a retirement community, but only with the independent living residents are participating. And they, after their first couple of just sort of introductory lessons of what is stronger memory, what are the exercises, this particular group showed a great affinity for desiring to write. And so they decided amongst themselves that they would like to be assigned a topic each week, and at least 2 people would agree to read what they have written and discuss it. And 2 of the recent topics, and I could see how this could be just so much fun. One of them was tell us about your experiences on learning to swim. And so that included people coming
Oh.
back with, I was so scared. And then, I ended up in high school winning a medal, and my whole family was in tears because they remembered I didn't want to learn, didn't like to learn, and they never thought I would learn. And then there was another topic on learning to ride a bicycle and what that was like. So I just thought those were really fun topics. And they ended up going to the dollar store and purchasing black and white composition notebooks for each of these residents because they were just enjoying it so much and really desiring to write. And like so many of you have noted, it might just start out with a few sentences in the beginning, and then by the 5th or 6th week in, you're getting some pretty prolific writers, and they're sharing. So we've seen it done a lot of ways. I think it's such a great question, Annie. I can tell you in the nursing home setting, and Angela Beckman has experience with that setting as well in their wellness center. So residents who perhaps are further along with a physical journey or a dementia journey, they're often meeting more frequently, 3 to 4 to even 5 days a week. And there is some help, some one-on-one assistance, and a much more structured environment. But for independent living, and even we've seen in assisted living, it can really go the way of let's pick a topic and discuss, and could even be some preparation before they come.
Has anybody tried writing letters within a group as a writing activity?
Nice.
I mean, do you know if anybody's done that? Because I was just thinking, like, you have, there are people you're familiar with, but the idea of writing to each other is kind of, I think, kind of stimulating and challenging.
Yep.
Some of
I've
our group,
seen,
some of our group have written letters to family members in response to one of the questions, or to grandchildren. We're hoping in 2026 to see if we can create a pen pal between
Mhm.
the independent living group and the healthcare group.
That's a
Love-
great
great.
idea.
Yeah, love that. Also, Susan, in 2023, when we were still coming out of COVID, and particularly in nursing homes, still a lot of lockdown situations were happening. I know one of our nursing homes, I think it was in Michigan, don't ask me how, but they made friends with a nursing home in Rhode Island, and they were sending back and forth. And one reason they reached out to us is because they came across Stronger Memory, and they said the first month, let's say 4 weeks of writing letters, no problem. Everybody had lots to say. And then suddenly, what are we going to write about? And so they went to some of the writing prompts in the Stronger Memory Workbook to give them inspiration, and they shared it. So each nursing home got a workbook to work from to have the prompts, and that really helped guide them on things that they could say to one another. So yeah, but I think it's a lovely idea. We also, the group in Ohio also mentioned us with their assisted living group members. They first started out really working on signature, and then to their
Yeah.
surprise, residents wanted to relearn penmanship.
Ah.
They found the Palmer method. If any of you, I see Tina
Yes.
shaking her head.
yes.
Yes, and Diane. And so they had to pull out things from the Palmer method, because people were like, how do I put the curl on the end of the capital Q also? And, how do I make a capital G in the Palmer method? And so while at first glance, I would have thought, wow, that might be a little restrictive and maybe too school-like, this particular group really loved it. I mean, that's what they wanted. They were craving it. So they really went into that. And then we talked to another group. They did the same thing, and they bought blue ribbons through Amazon. And everybody, of course, got a blue ribbon for participating. But then they did have a few little, even special ribbons for, fanciest or most easily read, so, but everybody that participated got a blue ribbon. And I think by the time they got them on Amazon, it came down to be like under $1 each. So it was a reasonable amount of money to spend on something fun.
There's two interesting things about that. Here you have older people practicing the Palmer method, and you're hearing the schools not teaching cursive.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, it's coming back into schools because they realize
Yeah.
that it is a part of brain development. That
that's
that
good to
action
know.
is
Yeah.
part of brain development. So it is coming back. Although I will say I could write to my 3 granddaughters and none of them would ever understand what I wrote. So
There's a certain
I
age group.
try and always write their names in cursive and my name in cursive. So at least they're seeing something. But it also affects so many other things, like because I've been involved in genealogy and, so much stuff is in cursive and young people can't even read it. So, but I think it will be coming back definitely.
One of my neighbors, her grandson is out of school and everything, and he had remarked he was in the period where they did not teach cursive, and it's coming back, as you say. And he's verbalizing he feels gypped out, because he didn't learn that. And just as you say, and when you go looking at the old documents, the Constitution, all those, the calligraphy, like writing, it's beautiful, actually.
Actually,
really
I was in an experiment that I never learned to print. I went to cursive in the second half of the first year. So I had a
Wow.
little printing and then I was into cursive. It was some kind of experiment at that time. And so for me, the difficulty is printing always. Often I have to think about my letters when I print, like other people have to think about cursive. I have to think about printing. And as a teacher, I had to print on the blackboard and I was always slow, getting something up printed. So
Oh,
Annie,
Diana,
yes.
may I see your hand up?
All of these are making me recall a question that came up in one of my classes as far as alternative ways of practicing. So it sounds like the handwriting, it's the hand-eye coordination, it's the fine motor skills, right? With math, it's interesting to me, the individuals who are resistant to the program tend to be these older adults, these older men who were engineers or very math oriented professionally. They're
yes.
like, this is too easy. I don't want to do this. And so I've been trying to think of alternatives. So tell me if this is incorrect. My understanding is the math is for quick reflex, quick memory recall. You see it, you say it. There's no processing or formulations happening. If they were to do that, because a lot of these guys are like, it's names or faces. And so I was thinking if they did flashcards of people's faces and had to quickly recall the names that are associated with those faces, like their grandkids or whatnot, is that
Celebrities
the
even.
same effect? Could I use that as an option if they're just like, they're cringing at doing the math? I could propose anything that's a flashcard kind of see it, say it activity is doing the same thing as math. Is that correct?
Jessica, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think let's write that down and
And actually, I have researched that.
oh, okay. Teresa, if you've researched that, I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
think I've got to research that one a little bit.
Right. It's definitely hitting the speed of processing. So going between lobes, and different parts of the brain. It's not necessarily getting to the exact same part of the brain where we do math, which is, and they're two different parts of the brain because a word problem is a different section than addition and subtraction, which is what we're focusing on, which is really more you're pulling back memorization. You've memorized these addition and subtraction facts and you're pulling those out. So it's a slightly different, but you're still, there's no question you're getting benefit from an exercise like that, Annie. I think I love the idea. And of course, we never want to make anybody do something they don't want to do. Slowing down, so like by giving somebody trigonometry, that's great, but it's not necessarily fitting in with stronger memory, and it's not something that George Mason has studied within stronger memory, and we do know, again, it's in the same part of the brain, but not in exactly the same space as the subtraction, addition, and even simple multiplication and division are in a really specific part of the brain, which is very interesting. But you're still definitely getting that speed of processing. And if they're going to stick with doing something like that and finding it fun and challenging, they're getting a wonderful brain workout. So I applaud your ability to be creative, to give them something that they would enjoy and stick with, and maybe feel like they're seeing more benefit from.
And I think that's the key that our research has shown, is that it's really that consistency. And then I see, Diane, you have your hand up.
I can remember when Rob came to speak to us one time, and he spoke of the incident when Wendy verbalized that she wasn't feeling so good. She wasn't doing so good. She thought she was declining, and she couldn't say why. But in conversation, it came out she decided she was going to be working on long division. And, you know, he told her, get back to the basic arithmetic and everything. And when she did that, she got back on track and felt like she was doing something. And when he researched, he said exactly sort of what Teresa said. The math is in a separate portion. So, you know, you do need to work on the math. So where Annie's concerned, I wonder if it's so easy, maybe instead of one column or two columns of numbers for adding and subtracting, maybe adding the 3 and 4 columns or something to be a little bit more intensive. If that might make the difference for them, they might feel a little more challenged like that.
Right. And we have had math professors, accountants. I think we had a former head of a U.S. Treasury at one point. So truly, the math and stronger memory for people on that completely different plane, probably than most of us on this call, then we came back and we said, you know what? 3rd grade math, even maybe the beginning of 4th grade math, because for them, they could do it in their head. I remember a Russian math professor who told me she married her college math professor. She told me she did 3-digit division in her head when she was 4 years old. I believe her. So for her, you know, to tell her that she needed to do the simple math, it really was too simple. But she wasn't excited when we came back. And we had talked to George Mason researchers about this as well. We came back and said, okay, here is a website where you can do printable 3rd grade and 4th grade math. She still probably was very upset that was below her. But we did that because she could do that as quickly as most of us, you know, are doing 14 plus 7. So I think you really do need to look at the individual. And we're fortunate enough in our lives that we meet so many fascinating people that we will come across math geniuses. And so we don't want to turn them away from the program because we don't have something to offer. So if it's not stressful and if they're not slowing down to be able to do that slightly harder math, that would work. But that's a really small subset.
Yes, I think, yeah.
So is it fair to say that while you're right, that speed of process is beneficial in whatever modality they choose to use, there is something about doing math that benefits memory?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Is my understanding, I thought the whole idea of the stronger memory with the activities is those 3 activities activate much of the brain. You get a certain areas, more areas in the brain by doing those activities. You are writing, you're using your hand, but you know, getting the retrieving the whatever it is and getting it to your signaling down to your arm and using your intrinsic muscles in your forearm to strengthen to do those. You're exercising more areas by doing those activities.
Yes, you're right, Diane. Functional MRIs have shown that the more
And
areas.
there are
lighting-
little tricks in there because sometimes you're going along thinking you're going to know the next answer. So that is also
You're seeing
a
how much you're
valid,
attending.
you know,
Yeah.
situation, because it isn't so straightforward. You think, oh, okay, the next answer is 10. No, they've changed what
Right.
they're adding or whatever. So,
They're
there are
watching
little,
your
I
focus.
had a math professor, but unfortunately, he was really declining. So his wife said, that it was very hard for him because he knew he was losing his math ability. So,
Yeah.
so that was another kind of issue for someone who really was a math professor.
Right. And that's a good point, because again, we don't want to upset anybody. We don't want to raise cortisol levels. And I think the sense of accomplishment for a lot of people, especially those who come to it and say, I don't like math. Please don't make me do math. I don't want to do math. For them, when they see like, I can do this math, you just see their posture change and they become more confident. So that's a wonderful thing. But it can go both ways. Annie, I think it's a superb question, but to answer, yes, some of the studies that were done in the early 2000s, and then I think even one that was done in Korea later, showed that math really was an important component in showing cognitive progression and improvement from the beginning to the end. So yeah.
In your basic wellness check that you go with the doctors these days, the basic exercise that they assess is doing that clock and putting the numbers in the clock and having X time showing. And people who,
subtract with sevens and
yeah.
it's
So
tough.
the numbers do play into it.
Although asking what date it is such an outdated question, because who knows? They look at their watch, they look at
Exactly. What's your neighbor's phone number? I don't know anymore. I just push the button.
I'll share a little anecdote about that. When I was working in a nursing home, one of the nurses and I had a difference of opinion about the one lady about whether she was oriented or not, because the nurses said no, she wasn't. And I said, I thought so in the beginning, but I'm finding more and more. This one day I came in and everybody was leaving the cafeteria. And if I told this story, just stop me in my tracks. Does it sound familiar? Okay.
No.
Anyway, so she's trying to stop people and everybody's saying, I'll talk to you later, talk to you later. And finally she got somebody and he said, what is it? What is it you want? She says, quick, could you tell me what day it is, what season it is, who's the president? There's a lady down the way that's going to be asking me these questions she doesn't know. So could you, so I could help her.
Love it. I love it.
Great.
That's awesome.
That's such a good way to end this
It is.
meeting.
I was just thinking the same
Laughing.
thing. That's a perfect. We brought it full circle.
Yes, laughing is always a good way to end.
Yes, that is wonderful. And also, I know Jessica mentioned, and Michelle will follow up on this to send you. We will send you the blog articles that Jessica referenced, and within those blog articles are active links to the research, to other studies that she may have referenced, or even a previous story about stronger memory that could come up. So we will be happy to share those with you. And as we said, by the end of the calendar year, we will have a draft of the updated facilitator guide with the 16, instead of just 12, and some lessons have been replaced, we'll have 16. And that'll give you some extra, hopefully, to focus on some of the pillars of health. So yeah.
And
Great
if people do not want to download the materials, they're still open for sale for $17.50.
Absolutely. We cannot believe it, but our printer is still doing $1 per page, which in this economy is unheard of. He has not ever raised the price, and he has told us he's in on the mission. So for now, at least, we're still at $1 per page, which is, it still is a cost. There's no question about that. But really, and it is our pass-through cost. That's what he's billing us, is $1 per page. And he's putting in the binding and the covers at no charge. And then you can see when you buy them online from us, the shipping is determined by the United States Post Office, or you can get it faster with UPS, but you put in your zip code and the number of books you want, and the calculation is coming directly from that source. So we don't have control over that. And it is sad because at this point, often the shipping is almost the same as the book itself. And
some of the
just
people
don't have
that have
control.
computers, but they don't necessarily have printers. And so
Right.
that's the issue. So
Yeah.
listen, thank you. As always, it's nice to get together with you all.
So
Okay,
nice.
bye.
Thank you all. So nice to see you. And a shout out to Kathy Bainbridge and Rhonda who came in later, and Sandra. Wonderful to see you too.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Sure
Bye,
thing.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.